This is American Real. I am Roger Brooks. My guest today is Marisella Villano. You are a professional motivator who transforms minds and bodies, getting people to love fitness so they don't become a healthcare statistic. You're the owner and founder of Marvil Fit, cycling and fitness in the Hamptons. You're a recent graduate of David Breyer's Brand Intervention Masterclass. Marisella, welcome to the show.
Hey, Roger, thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate that we're doing this podcast video and audio from your studio, which is so awesome. You have your bikes there in the background. I know before we started, I said, is that a spinning bike? And you said, no, it's something else. So off the bat, can you explain what those bikes are that we're seeing in your backdrop?
Well, they're indoor cycling bicycles. A spinning bike is its own trademark. It's its own company.
Oh, okay.
So if you call something a spinning bike, it has the Spin logo on it from the Spin company corporation.
Got it. Okay.
So we have Stages bicycles.
Very cool. And I see those are branded. We could see a little bit of the one to your left, which is awesome. And look, I would love to start, if we can, Marisella, by talking about the Brand Intervention Masterclass, which you just completed a few weeks ago. And you were one of the all-stars of the group, and you really excelled and transformed a lot, and I'd love to talk about that and what it did for your business, what it did for you personally. And really, I mean, you're so busy anyway. Why did you even take the time, the energy, the investment to do David Breyer's Brand Intervention Masterclass, which is part of our American Real brand here on our podcast?
Sure. I have been following David on 1 Minute Wednesdays for a while. And with the coronavirus and being shut down for so long, I thought it was a perfect opportunity when I saw the emails for the brand intervention class to take it so that I would be ready when we would, the healthcare industry would be up and running. So that's where I am. So that's why I took the course. And I wanted to be ahead of the pack when all the restrictions were lifted. So I basically took the course to prepare myself to kick ass.
That's so awesome. And did it work? Was it what you expected as far as that happening?
Oh, it was really so much better because I didn't expect what I got out of the course. I've been in business 20 years. And in the fitness industry, I'm sure there's a lot of shysters in other industries too, but there's just so many shysters that are always like, give me some of your money and then I'll show you, that you can make more money and you'll be more successful and people will notice you more. And so I was a little hesitant and I was like, you know what? You got to try it because you don't know unless you try it. And it was just amazing. The fact that there was simplicity in the course, but also complexity to it, like just the concepts. It was a lot more than I thought I was going to get out of it. And it totally transformed my life. The only other time that I saw things differently is when I was in school and I took a microbiology class. And my teacher said, you'll never see life the same way again. The professor, you'll never see life the same way again after you take this micro class. And I feel the same way with the branding class. It's like the microbiology of marketing.
And why do you think that is? What is it about David Breyer? What is it about his program that you think does that? Because I've heard that now from several people, and I was, lucky to be part of the actual building of the program and the curriculum because we partner with David on it. But it's just so interesting because you just don't know what's going to happen to people. But we keep hearing the same things, like it was transformative or, it was way more than I have, ever anticipated. What do you think it was about it that actually gave you that type of feeling and outcome?
When things started to change for me is, I think it was in the second class. And in the class, he said, if you don't tell your story, somebody else will. And I was like, can I curse?
Of course.
I was like, holy shit. So I was like, he's so right. And like when I was watching the 1 Minute Wednesdays, I would always be like, I'm doing that. And now what? But David, now what? I'm doing all that. And so but in the class, when he said, if you don't tell your story, nobody else will. Somebody else will. That's exactly what I wasn't doing. I wasn't telling my story because I was afraid that I was going to be judged. Because this is a really tough industry. It's judgy. I've been judged since the beginning. I was told I wasn't going to make it. And so like, you know, I have all this like fear that I'm going to be rejected. But after the class, I was like, I don't care anymore. I'm just going for it and having fun with it.
So Marisella, tell us what was it like before the class, like pre-COVID, you know, when you're doing your thing, when things were somewhat normal, or normal. Mm-hmm. What was your day-to-day like? Because if your story wasn't in your brand at that point, were you struggling trying to find clients? Did you have the studio you're in now? Like, what was the difference between then and now?
I basically had the same studio that I had, that I have now. And I just think it was, I just feel like the energy wasn't there. Like I was putting everything out there. And I mean, now that I'm not, the restrictions have, you know, I have limited capacity because of the restrictions in the studio. So I'm basically a one-man show because of that. I can't afford to have employees at this point. I can only have 5 people in my classes at a time. So the clients are really enjoying that I'm back, because before COVID, I was trying to take a step back and have, you know, just trying to have others work for me. And I had a great crew. I really did have a great crew, but I'm really noticing that the members are saying that they're happy to see me more. So that's kind of interesting.
And that's something David also talks about is in his program, giving more of you, but you could take that to the next step with what you're talking about right now. Your clients need more of you. Your clients need you. And I've heard that again from others. And even myself, I feel that the more we give to people, and even if we have a team of people, they still want to hear from you. You're the founder, you're the owner, you're the brains behind everything that went into it. And there's something special about that. And again, it's just great to hear. Do you see that continuing the way it is? So when the restrictions are lifted, what's going to change now as far as how you operate your business?
I'm definitely going to be more hands-on. When I started Marvil Fit, I kind of wanted it to be Marvil Fit, kind of like function on its own, you know, be its own beast. But I don't think that can be its own beast. I have to be the beast behind Marvil Fit. That's where my name is from. The Marvil is actually the first 3 letters of my first name and the last 3 letters of my last name. So it was me all along. So I was like, so David's course was just like, duh, hello, Marisella.
That's great. So that was not the name prior to the program.
It was always, since we opened 8 years ago, it was Marvil Fit.
Okay. And what would you say your differentiator is? I mean, I heard you loud and clear when you said, you were able to see that your clients needed you, but was there any other differentiator that you found through the program that might be able to help others who are thinking about, their own brand?
Everything. I mean, just rising above the noise, pricing being part of the noise without even realizing all these like little things that, you learn along the way, that if the only thing that differentiates you is price, you're not really differentiated, So, and just holding true to your value and what I stand for. My methodology is backed by science. I'm a big science nerd. So I won't deviate from that because it's trendy or because it's cute or, that's not why I came into fitness. I came into fitness because I lost 40 pounds and it changed the way I felt and looked at the world when I did so. I think the fitness was very empowering and I didn't want to stray away from that. And there's so many people that feel the same way, that are intimidated by going to trendy places or places that are just offering the next hottest workout craze. And I'm starting to get a real reputation of just being that good place, that solid foundation.
That is great. You did talk about energy a little bit earlier and how your energy changed and how you feel that your clients are able to, feel that energy. Did you feel that before? Like now that you've kind of gone through this program, you're more authentic, you're more yourself, do you just feel like the energy has changed and it won't go back to the way it was? It's like, once you reach that point, do you feel like, okay, now I know like who I am, what I'm supposed to be, and what my clients need from me?
Yeah, well, I always knew who I was. I knew what my clients needed from me. But now I'm like, this is it. Just take it or leave it. This is who I am. And I really think that has changed in the, it's definitely, I don't say that to anybody, but before the brand intervention class, I always felt like I had to explain my methodology. I had to explain what I was doing and try to explain why, the latest trend was not good for them. And now I don't. Now I'm like, you can come or you can go. That's fine. But
that is good. And what I love about that is that something like that is transferable to any industry, any career, right? It doesn't matter where you work or who you work for, whether it's yourself or for someone else. If you're yourself, it just seems, because it's, I'm the same way. Like this is something that I've been thinking about and doing for the last few years, but the more I'm able to be myself, it just seems that anxiety goes away, things just seem to fall in place more as maybe before it was a little bit forced and things just weren't working out. So it's great to hear that you are at that next level, and I'm sure that is also infectious as far as when you're talking to your family and friends, that they could feel that too, that's just one more piece of you that you've now found and adopted into your life.
Oh, they're just so happy I'm not stressing and talking about Marvil Fit at home anymore.
And that's so great. Now, you said something a few minutes ago that I definitely don't want to overlook or just pass by. And you mentioned that you lost at some point 40 pounds. Yeah. That's a significant amount of weight for anyone. Can you tell us a little bit more about that story? What inspired you to do that? How did you do it? And, how hard has it been to maintain that? Because that's a significant percentage.
I lost 40 pounds about 25 years ago. I was in my 20s. And I went to the gym every day and I watched what I ate. There's no magic formula. That's it. And I tell my people, keep going, finding the magic pill. You're going to come back because there's no magic formula. It's diet and exercise. So I lost all the weight and I was basically a gym rat. I had so much fun. Exercise to me is very empowering and uplifting in so many ways. And I see how it transforms my clients to get that confidence and that spark that you're saying that I have. when I see it in them after, they come scared to try an exercise class, and then they're in love with exercise, because that's the most important thing. You have to teach people how to enjoy their exercise routine so they continue it for the rest of their lives. And so one of the fitness directors that I would take a kickboxing class with, which I loved, she was so wonderful. She came up to me one day and said, "We need a sub for Sunday spin, and I know that you can do it." I'm still to this day the annoying person in the front of the room that screams, "Woo!" And I'm the most annoying person. Everyone's like grabbing water and I'm like jogging in place. So she was like, "You would really be great teaching spin." So I taught my first spin class, and I had fun, and I was transitioning between careers. I have a master's degree in gerontology, the study of aging. So I specialized in dementia, and I just really couldn't deal being in a small town out here. There aren't that many options, and I just couldn't deal with the fact that there were no options for me to move forward, and the system was not progressive enough. So I was kind of stuck just doing what the system wanted me to do, even though I had a master's degree in dementia and I was progressive in it. Anyway, so going back to the fitness industry. So I taught my class and I was like, this really makes me happy. I'm going to miss not being in dementia, in dementia care, but I just want to try this because it was just too stressful in my other field, especially since I knew I'd have to wait 20 years before I could advance my career. So here I am. I started, I got a spin certification. And then after my certification, I was like, wait a minute, they didn't really teach me that much. I got to go get certified for personal training. So I got a personal training certification. Then, I got a Pilates certification. I got 3 more personal training certifications. So anyway, so here I am.
Wow. And that is, pretty bold to be able to, especially after getting a master's degree, spending all that time, money, energy to do something you were passionate about. Obviously that industry is very much needed. And as an aside, we didn't plan to talk about this, but I'd love just to spend a couple of moments on it because it is such an important topic for all of us. It affects a lot of families. When you say it wasn't progressive enough, do you mean that it was the industry wasn't moving fast enough to be able to help, find a cure, or what does that mean?
The industry wasn't ready to deal with taking care of dementia patients. In a nursing home setting, you only have a certain amount of nurses or nurses' aides, and the residents weren't really getting the attention that they needed. And it was really hard for me to see that and be part of it. And I just said to my husband, this is borderline abuse and I can't handle it. And when I did say something about it, I was kind of scolded that that's not how we do things. So anyway, so that was very upsetting for me. It was just a way to speak to dementia patients, to calm them down. It's like no one was educated in how to deal with that. So it was very frustrating for me to have to, see residents get agitated because of people not being able to properly address them. So,
yeah. Do you think the industry is getting better? I know my father-in-law, who passed now several years ago, he was in a specialized unit for dementia, which was great. But I could see if he wasn't there, if he wasn't there, it could have been, not such a great situation because it is so specialized in how you care for them.
Right. Well, I worked in a specialized unit. And again, it comes down to staffing. It's been 20 years and I really hope that things have changed. But I get to do what I learned anyway. I have one of my clients right now is 86 with dementia. So I get to be on the other side and be in control of everything I do now, which is nice. And I still dabble a little bit. Like people ask me for, advice, which I'm happy to offer freely. But yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's such an awful disease. And like I said, it affects so many families. I just hope that they spend the resources that are necessary to hopefully make some progress, because it's just affects so many families.
Yeah, and bottom line is you just have to make the person with the disease feel comfortable and safe. They know they're forgetting, so to be spoken to like a 3-year-old child is not how to handle the situation the best. So that's what I just like to tell people, is that the person that you love is still in there, and they know they're confused. A lot of times the information is just jumbled up, and you just have to reorganize it for them so that they can get it out. Unless you're talking about later stages, but like basically up until the moderate stages, the end of the moderate stages, you can still, unscramble information for them. Like if you know them well enough, or like I'll know when somebody has dementia, and I just go into my, dementia care, and I'll just unscramble their words. And then, we have a conversation or help them trying to get the word that they're looking for, or, what their idea is out.
Yeah. And the one word I think about, with those folks like you who are in or were in this type of care, is patience. Having the patience to be able to work with someone to help, get those words in the order that they intended. So it's an interesting topic, but I do want to get back to your current career, and one of the things you like to talk about is defying odds, and that you've gone through that, and if you can spend some time giving us some insights about how you've been able to define the odds, and really why that is so important to you.
I feel like I've always struggled in everything I've done. So every time I have an accomplishment, it just amazes me. And so, defying the odds, I came here from Italy when I was 3 years old. So English was not my first language. And my parents didn't have a big education. My mom only had a 5th grade education, and my dad had an 8th grade education. So they kind of didn't know how to weave around, like I always say, like the other kids, the American kids, they kind of got help. Their parents
Sure.
had the resources for them. Like we never knew about resources, because, my parents couldn't even speak English. So, struggling with that. And then when I was 13, my dad died of a massive heart attack. So we were kind of like struggling, here's my mom, a single mom, 3 kids, and she doesn't speak English, 3 teenage girls. So, my mom wanted me to become a secretary. That was like a big thing for a Sicilian immigrant. And that was huge. And she was like, I want you to have a Monday to Friday job. I want you to be, and I was like, I am not going to be a secretary. So we used to fight over that all the time. I was like, that is not what I'm going to do. And so when I went to college, I wasn't allowed to go to college away, because I went to Southampton. That's how I ended up here. And my mom and my family basically told me I wasn't allowed to go. And I was like, you don't have a choice. I'm 18. I'm going. So wow. I went to Southampton College for marine biology. And I've been on my own since I was 18. My mom, a single mom, she didn't have any money. So I've been basically working and, making ends meet since I was 18 to do whatever I wanted. And then I met my husband in Southampton. So instead of pursuing my marine bio degree, that's when I went to go get my gerontology degree, because I was going to take that into physical therapy. and Stony Brook didn't accept me, which I'm so happy that Stony Brook didn't accept me, because then I would have never been a personal trainer.
All the dots connect for a reason, right?
I know, right? So anyway, so then I worked in the fitness industry, and people would just tell me that I wasn't good enough, or that I wasn't going to make it, or I should teach class like this instructor because that instructor was better. And I was like, I'm doing it my way. It's always been my way, but with a little hesitancy. But now that David has unleashed the beast, there is no more hesitancy.
So you're not kidding when you say it transformed you as a person.
No, I mean, I'm still the same person, but I'm not like my family. This is the person that my family sees behind closed doors. But I was always afraid once I left, left my house, that I made myself rigid so that I would be accepted, I guess, which probably didn't help me.
And why does the hustling that you have and really just pushing to for what you believe in, why is that important? Why should people think about doing that? Because we're going to put the effort in one way or the other, whether we're pushing for what we believe in or not. Why is it important for you to push for what you believe in?
Well, if you do things that you don't believe in, then you're not going to be happy. There's no purpose. So, I mean, for me, and that was another thing that kept me stagnant before COVID. I was just so focused on getting people to come in and getting numbers and succeeding that I lost sight of the personality of Marvil Fit. And I didn't have any education, and I wasn't doing any real continuing education. There was no growth. It was just focus on one thing. And if you are not doing other things to enhance yourself and to grow, then you're going to be unhappy.
What does a typical day look like for you, Marisella?
I'm up around 5 o'clock. I do emails. I'm always learning something. I'm always trying to take a course. So right now I'm taking a yoga course. So, because I've never been certified in yoga, and I thought it would be a good time to do that, but I didn't realize I was going to be this busy after the brand intervention course. So I'm kind of struggling a little bit with doing this yoga course. So I'll do some, reading or some work for a, course like that. And then my first client's at 6:30.
Wow.
I run to the studio, 6:30 a.m. I run to the studio, train a client, run back home at 7 o'clock to drive my children to school. So then I drive my children to school, and then I'm basically training from 8 a.m. by the time I drop them off at school till about 1 o'clock. Then I go pick kids up at 2 o'clock. And then I said I wasn't going to work nights, but I'm so busy now that I'm working 3 nights. So, and then I go back to the studio and around 4 o'clock and don't come back till 7. So yeah, I'm a little busy.
Well, no, it is wonderful. And I figured you probably had some early morning routine, and it sounds like you do. That's your quiet time where you get things done. Let's try to help some people who might be listening to this and are, struggling either to try to get out of their career because they don't love what they're doing, or they're not, getting to the gym or connecting with someone that could help them. Any words of advice, just based on everything you've been through now that you're also an instructor and you help people on a day-to-day basis? What can you say to help some people break through them, for themselves?
Break through exercise or break through their lives?
Just both, because I think it's very much related where, if you're in the wrong job, it's hard to break through. If you can't get to the gym, maybe there's one thing that you could talk about or a couple of things that may click with them.
You really just have to do what makes you happy. And if you're miserable, you have to find a solution to getting out of the situation that you're in. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you quit your job tomorrow, but make a plan and find some self-growth, right? Or educate yourself to moving on to the next phase of your life. I think that fitness has a huge part to do with that because of empowerment. Spinning, or indoor cycling. Since I don't have spin bikes, you're not technically supposed to say that you're spinning. So I just find indoor cycling so refreshing because it really does push people through boundaries that they never expected. The bikes are amazing. And, once you start getting people to break these preconceived barriers that they have, that they don't feel like they're strong enough and they can't accomplish certain things, and then they do, it's really exciting. You almost unleash a beast, kind of like David Breyer and me.
It's so awesome. No, and you know what? Everything you just said, I could relate to. I help people write their first book, and it's the exact same thing. Like once they get going and once they, get organized and have a plan and have their outline and they start writing a little bit and they see some success, it's like, it's infectious, and then one page becomes two, which becomes a chapter, and then which becomes 10 chapters, and then you have a book. But it's the consistency of it. And I think it's very similar, whether it's fitness, whether it's writing a book, whether it's having a plan to further your career, to keep you happy, I'm so glad you talked about that, because I never thought about that relation of really anything until you just mentioned it.
Well, you're welcome.
Well, let's see. Let's move on. There's a couple of more topics I wanted to try and cover. What do you have in the works for the future? Like, are you thinking about anything, once you get open fully? You said you're working evenings now. Are you going to bring some other people in to help you? And then what else might you be thinking of where, I don't know, maybe people could connect with you remotely somehow?
Yes. Okay. So I have a plan. Come on, Roger.
Of course you do. I just want to hear it.
So the coronavirus is really kicked me in the ass, and I wasn't prepared for the online world, like the on-demand classes. And when Peloton came out and all those on-demand classes were coming out, everyone was like, "Are you concerned?" And I said, "No, I'm not really concerned, because people need the interaction, the personal interaction." And that's one of the reasons I do so well. I have a small studio, and I think that that's another niche, is because people really enjoy the personal interaction of the special attention. I can see somebody in the back room with poor bike setup, and I will fix them at the end of class, and they are appreciative of that. You can't get that in a 50 class studio. And I've been doing it for 20 years, so I could see it. So it drives me crazy. In the middle of class, I'm like, oh my God, I got to fix that bike. Oh my God, I got to fix that bike. But getting back to the on-demand, I was really hesitant, and I'm really upset at myself, but can't do anything about it, because I should have looked into it, but it was just too much work at the time for me to figure it out. But so when the virus shut us all down, that was really my only alternative to make money. So I closed this, I rented all the bikes out. My husband and I hand delivered, we had 18 bikes. We hand delivered all the bikes to our members, and we rented the bikes out and streamed them. And that's really what got the rent paid, because I was not getting rent forgiveness. And so I know that going forward now, I need a better on-demand presence. It has definitely gotten better from the time we started last year to now, but now I really need to hone in on it more and get serious about that. And then I'll be adding some other modalities we have a mat studio as well. So I'll be adding some modalities into the mat studio, but it is going to be Marvil Fit, like Marisella Villano. I will definitely get help along the way, because I can't do this all by myself and do all the other ventures that I would like to do. But yeah.
No, and it's great to hear you say that, because I'm of the mindset that people, especially online, want to connect with those that they respect, that they, just connect with from an energy level. And I could just feel it, for you, that when you start putting yourself out there and make this, available to people, I know, I mean, it'll happen where you will start to accumulate, a mass, following and clients from afar, because I think that's the only way we could reach, a large number of people. And whether it's through a Zoom class or however you do it, there's so much that someone like you has to offer. And I'm excited for you. I really am, and genuinely, because it's needed, and I have a friend that I interviewed. I met him on LinkedIn. His name is Gav Gillibrand, and he's from England. And, I could just see, every day he's out there motivating people. His whole thing is, I help, men lose 20 pounds, busy men. So, and that's his niche. But I could see the results. He brings these people on, and you see their stories and their testimonials, and it's real people. And that, for you, I see that as well. So I'm excited to see where you go next with your business, and the fact that David helped you get, a little bit, to this point. There's, I'm sure, lots to come, and we'll be watching and help in any way we can to help promote when you're ready.
Yes, this is very exciting for sure.
So great. A couple last questions I'd like to ask guests. Number one, if you were to take out your cell phone right now and call the 20-year-old Marisella, the one who did not want to be a secretary, the one who wanted to go to Stony Brook, but didn't get in, the one who thought about being a marine biologist, what would you tell her?
Don't be so hard on yourself. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's what kept me from just pushing myself, is that I shouldn't say pushing myself. That's what kept me from being afraid of being myself, was that I was judging myself, constantly trying to be perfect. So don't be so hard on yourself. Have fun and do what you love.
Love it. Marisella, this has been awesome. Welcome to the American Real family. I'm so happy that we were able to connect today. And one last question, which I like to ask every guest, and that is, at the end of the day, you have a lot of work to do, it's a lot of life to live, but what kind of legacy do you want to leave? What kind of mark do you want to leave on this earth?
I want to leave a mark that I was a kind and good person.
Awesome.
That's it. And making people strong. But kindness and goodness first.
Awesome. That's you. That sums it up. Marisella Villano, thank you so much. I cannot wait to air this episode and follow your career.
Thank you.